The
This
knight
is the
is
only
kicked
good
by
move.
a pawn,
E5
and must now
controls
move or
the
be
D4
captured.
and F4 squares, and allows the queen and dark-squared bishop to develop. G3 prepares to fianchetto the light-squared bishop on G2, where it will sit on the long diagonal. Developing the knight and increasing influence in the center. This fianchettos the bishop by placing it on a powerful diagonal. Textbook play so far. White develops the knight and attacks the center. Moving from its starting spot, the bishop gets involved in the game. Right on target. Developing the knight and increasing influence in the center. White develops the knight and attacks the center. This moves the bishop to a more active square, making it gain scope. A solid choice. This creates a pawn chain, linked pawns that form a strong structure. This creates a pawn chain, linked pawns that form a strong structure. Very precise. Castling kingside tends to be safer than queenside because the king is further from the center. That's not a mistake, but it's not the best move either. This is the strongest option. This allows the knight to control more squares. Applying pressure to black's pawn chain. Right on target. One of the best moves. The bishop moves forward into the game. Solid choice in the opening. This misses an opportunity to centralize a knight so it controls more squares. The game was close to equal, but now white has the advantage. This overlooks an opportunity to kick a knight. This stops the opponent from being able to tactically win a pawn. This is a fair move. This is the only good move. There was only one good move there, and white did not spend enough time trying to find it. Very precise. The knight is kicked by a pawn and must now move or be captured. This takes an outpost, a square where the knight cannot be kicked out by a pawn. This mobilizes the knight, allowing it to control more of the board. This blocks an attack on a pawn. This is the only good move. This is the only move that works. This protects the attacked pawn. One more piece joins the action. There were worse moves, but also something much better. Takes back. This threatens to win material through a tactic. This prevents the opponent from being able to win material through a tactic. Recaptures. A very strong play. This creates a pawn chain, linked pawns that form a strong structure. This misses an opportunity to create a pawn chain. This moves the rook to safety. This threatens to win material through a tactic. This stops the opponent from being able to win material through a tactic. That leaves a knight open to being captured. Capturing that knight wins material. Takes back. This defends a pawn that was under attack and had no defenders. This is not the right idea. This prevents the opponent from being able to force the loss of castling rights. This threatens to tactically win a bishop. This prevents the opponent from being able to tactically win a bishop. This threatens to force eventual checkmate. Now white can't stop black from winning material if they make the right moves. This prevents the opponent from being able to force eventual checkmate. The rooks are coordinated and powerfully doubled on the file. This develops a piece while also winning a tempo on a queen. After all captures, this is an equal trade. This maintains the balance in material with a good trade. Recaptures. This stops the opponent from being able to create a protected passed pawn. This attacks Black's pawn chain. Black's piece has moved to a square with greater activity and control. This is the strongest option. This is the only good move. This steps away from the checking rook. This defends the attacked pawn. Right on target. This attacks a queen, winning a tempo when it moves away. This moves the queen to safety. Putting the piece on a blockade square. This moves the bishop to a better location, allowing it to control more squares. This passed pawn is a strong asset for white. The piece finds a new active square. Very precise. This blocks white's pawn. This wins time by threatening a queen and forcing it to move away. This move puts the queen on a safer square. This threatens to win a bishop by adding pressure to a pinned piece. Black still has the better position, but they lost their winning advantage. This is an equal trade. Takes back. This is the strongest option. This misses a better way to move a queen to safety. The passed pawn moves towards its goal. This overlooks an opportunity to increase a bishop's scope by moving it to a better square. This makes a passed pawn. This moves the bishop to a better location, allowing it to control more squares. This is the only good move, pushing a passed pawn. This overlooks an opportunity to eventually win a pawn. The passed pawn moves towards its goal. That's fine. White finds a nice tactic with just seconds to spare, winning a bishop. Right on target. That bishop was free for the taking. This activates the king in the endgame by getting it off of the back rank. Putting the piece on a blockade square. There were worse moves, but also something much better. This steps away from the checking queen. A solid choice. This steps away from the checking queen. That's not a mistake, but it's not the best move either. This steps away from the checking queen. This is not the right idea. This steps away from the checking queen. This defends a pawn that was under attack and had no defenders. There were worse moves, but also something much better. This is not the right idea. This is a fair move. Very precise. This overlooks a better way to evade the check from the opposing queen. This misses a much better move. White lost their winning advantage, and now the game is close to equal. This threatens to force eventual checkmate. After all captures, this is an equal trade. This maintains the balance in material with a good trade. This is the strongest option. Right on target. This defends the attacked pawn. Very precise. This evades the check from the queen. This is the strongest option. This steps away from the checking queen. Right on target. This steps away from the checking queen. Very precise. This steps away from the checking queen. This captures a rook and eliminates a threat. The pawn reaches the back rank and promotes to a queen. This defends a pawn that was under attack and had no defenders. This evades the check from the queen. This is the only move that works. Recaptures from a previous move. This threatens to win a pawn through a fork. This prevents the opponent from being able to win a pawn through a fork. This evades the check from the queen. Black finds a nice tactic with just seconds to spare, winning a pawn. This evades the check from the queen. That was a free pawn. White's piece has moved to a square with greater activity and control. This steps away from the checking queen. The game was close to balanced, but now white is worse. This misses a better way to evade the check from the opposing queen. That's fine. This steps away from the checking queen. The game was close to equal, but now black has the advantage. This evades the check from the queen. White was worse off, but now they are in a losing position. This steps away from the checking queen. This is the strongest option. The game is still close to even, but black lost their winning advantage. This moves the queen to safety. This evades the check from the queen. Right on target. This steps away from the checking queen. One of the best moves. This evades the check from the queen. Very precise. This steps away from the checking queen. The game ended in a draw by repetition.